There is a mystery locked away in Metatron's cube, and all we need to do is find the key to unlock it. Metatron's cube is more than a two-dimensional example of sacred geometry that has no practical applications. Here is a mystery that has been kept hidden for so long. All matter in our third dimension manifests through Metatron's cube and the Platonic solids which are contained within it. If you are hearing this statement for the first time, it may seem pretty bold to you. In this short presentation, I'll share with you how that is possible. But we need to first unlock Metatron's cube to understand how it functions. Hello, my name is Michael Love, and in this presentation, I'll share with you some of the secrets of Metatron's cube. What if Metatron's cube is actually a locked door hiding in plain sight? When is something that may not look like a door actually a door? If we assume that it is a locked door, why is it locked? Are there secrets behind the door? And what can we use to unlock it? The traditional image of Metatron's cube is two-dimensional. The picture on the slide here shows the projection of a three-dimensional object onto a two-dimensional surface. The three-dimensional object is made up of three of the Platonic solids, the tetrahedron, the hexahedron, and the octahedron, all nested together. So when you look at the projection on the wall, does that look familiar to you? We often look for complicated answers to problems. Could the answer be that simple? Make the two-dimensional image of Metatron's cube three-dimensional? Here's a quick and hopefully painless geometry lesson. If you take a look at the blue triangle here on this slide, it is a polygon because it has two dimensions. If you look at the shape on the bottom with the purple lines, this shape is a polyhedron. It's actually a pyramid, and it has three dimensions. Most of us are familiar with the Platonic solids. They are indeed unique. And what makes them unique is that they are really the only convex regular polyhedrons. Now, to be a regular convex polyhedron, the sides must all be the same length, and the angles at the edges must add up to less than 360 degrees. Looking at the two-dimensional image of Metatron's cube, it's hard to find all five of the Platonic solids. The triangle is pretty easy to find, but how about the pyramid? Not as easy. The square is also pretty easy, but how about the cube? Again, not as easy. And the octahedron, well, that is getting harder. And good luck with the dodecahedron and the icosahedron. Here's a short video showing the triangle morphing into a pyramid. I won't go through all five of the Platonic solids this way. You can find each and every one of these, a video for each and every one of these on my website. Here's the icosahedron, just in case you were wondering where it is. It's very difficult to see. And as I said, you can see the remaining 3 platonic solid videos of the 2-dimensional image emerging into a 3-dimensional image on my website. So what is the secret that we have just unlocked in Metatron's cube? The secret is the platonic solids all move within Metatron's cube. Now it's hard to imagine movement within the 2-dimensional image, and that's why the 3-dimensional image is so important. The 3-dimensional image helps make Metatron's cube come alive. Within the 3-dimensional image of Metatron's cube, each platonic solid is free to move. This movement is the key, for it produces the energy within Metatron's cube. Let's first discuss rotation. Rotation can either be clockwise or counterclockwise, left to right or right to left. But it can also be top to bottom, clockwise away from you or counterclockwise toward you. Now each platonic solid has a dual, and we won't go into the geometry behind the duals, but the duals can expand and contract within each other, much like breathing. All of this variability of motion produces unique frequencies which manifest as matter. This video is an example of simple rotation. As you can see, all 5 of the platonic solids are rotating in the same direction. But each one of them could also be rotating independently in an opposite direction. As you watch the rotation, you can see, hopefully, each individual platonic solid. The dodecahedron in purple on the outside, the icosahedron in the very middle in blue, and the other 3 remaining platonic solids, all moving together very nicely, nested within the confines of Metatron's cube. There are 3 concepts that are particularly of interest when discussing Metatron's cube. The first concept is dimensions. We unlock Metatron's cube when we move it from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions. That brings us to the 4th dimension. Physicists see the 4th dimension as a spatial dimension, which gives us the hypercube. Mathematicians see the 4th dimension as time. We know that Metatron's cube transmits human consciousness between the 3rd and the 5th dimensions. So that brings us to our interest in the 5th dimension. What is the 5th dimension? Well, my answer is the 5th dimension is really our true home. The second concept is consciousness. Scientists have a difficult time discussing consciousness because it's so difficult to measure. Quantum physicists have several theories about consciousness. We have been told that there is consciousness in all energy. even in space itself. It is easy for us to contemplate human consciousness, but what about non-human consciousness? What about the consciousness of a tree or a dog or of water? Now consider human consciousness as a projection from another dimension, and that consciousness is transmitted into each and every one of our 37 trillion cells in our bodies. And that consciousness gets organized based on the structure that it's part of. So tissues become tissue consciousness, organs become organ consciousness, liver consciousness. And systems like the respiratory system have system-level consciousness. And the third concept is the manifestation of matter. The movement of the platonic solids within Metatron's cube creates energy that manifests as matter in different states. It's been shared with us that the chemicals in the elemental table rotate through these geometrical shapes. I'm not a scientist, and I can offer no proof for these statements. I'm sure you've heard the statement that thoughts are things. Authors like Bob Proctor and Ernest Holmes and Prentice Mulford have all written books entitled Thoughts Are Things. For something to manifest in our dimension, it first requires a thought. I'm going to read here a couple of the quotes that I've listed here on this slide. You live in a material world, and without the thought, the thing can never be created in your physical environment. It can never become physical. The thought can become a thing through the directed focus and energy that it is given, allowing it to exist based on your intentions of it, giving it the ability, the direction to move and change. Now, the point of this is we control the platonic solids and the manifestation of matter through directive thought. And directive thought is just simply thought that is given with intention. Let's review some of the conclusions that we've come to in this short presentation. First, Metatron's cube is not two-dimensional. When we see it as a three-dimensional construct, it allows us to envision the movement within it. Next, the platonic solids are nested within Metatron's cube and can move freely and independently of each other. A third conclusion that we talked about was that the platonic solids were creating matter in our dimension. And here's a very interesting comment. The dodecahedron and the icosahedron rotate microscopically within human DNA, transmitting human consciousness from the fifth dimension. Now, when you ask yourself the question, how is it that we can go about using all this information to our benefit, we need to be able to control Metatron's cube in the platonic solids, and we do that through directive thought. And if you're asking the question, how can we use it for healing purposes, one of the easiest ways to use Metatron's cube for healing purposes is to use it to balance energy within our bodies. So, thanks for taking the time to listen to this video. And I've written a short booklet that is free and available on my website that goes into this information a little bit more deeply. So if you're ready to learn more, go to my website, michaelglove.com, and you can see the videos, some of the videos that were here, and there's other videos also. and then let me know how I can support you going forward. Thanks for taking the time, and hopefully I'll get to talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.